Hello. Hello. Hello, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Hello, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome to another stream of Plane Shift. I've been doing a lot of tests. You don't even imagine how many. to improve the character hair, right? I tried in many different ways, and you can see here just a few samples of all the different tests, and yeah, it is complex. It is complex to find a good compromise, right, between quality and performance, but also the ability to colorize, right? So to basically change the hair color without destroying the underlying texture, and that is and it is the whole problem. Now I commissioned few things, right? And we got few things out of the commissions like this, but some of them are completely unusable, right? So that's the problem. Like we got models with like 20k polygons. We got models that were basically completely misaligned. We got models that were worse than the one that we had. We got models where basically the character was looking bald. We got models with too many transparency, too little transparency. Wrong orientation of the strips. I mean, everything. So I don't know. It seems to be very hard to get something decent. Now, also in Unreal Engine, I did tests, right? And oh wow, why this character is in this pose, by the way? What the? Why this character is in this pose? I have no idea. I didn't put it in this pose. What the? Interesting. How can it be in this pose? Maybe because it was landing or something? I don't know. That's a mystery. It will remain a mystery. So hair that was too spiky, hair that was not covering enough, hair with the wrong color, hair, I mean, all different kind of possible things, right? And now I think that this version, at least in the simple of the simple ones, is probably the one that is the easiest, right? Now it doesn't have any transparency here, because the other big issue is transparency, right? So you have two ways in a Unreal Engine to have transparency. You have the translucent, right? And you have the masked, right? Now the translucent is providing in theory better results, right? Because you can use full alpha, while the masked is just masked. So meaning is every pixel is transparent or not, right? 0-1 transparency. So let's say 100% transparency or 0 transparency, right? There is no in between. And yeah. So now the last one that I managed to get after probably 10 different tests and impossible communication with this freaking artist, that at the end it was not even an artist, it was just as it happens sometimes on Upwork and Fiverr, they're just people that are gathering the jobs, right, and are passing the work to someone else. So you're basically speaking with someone that has no idea of what you are saying, or has very little idea, and then they pass it to someone else, probably translated in whatever language, right? Their local language, being Pakistan, Bangladesh, India, whatever it is. And so there is a lot of stuff lost in the translation, right? because I think that they are kind of re-explaining to them what they have to do instead of just, you know, sending my text. And so we went back and forth with this person. I mean, I think like 10 times, you know, over a course of like 2 weeks or something. So completely unacceptable. Hello, Hula. I just started, like I started 1 minute ago, Hula. But thank you for reminding me. And so yeah, so I but this one I think is, at least geometry wise, right, the most reasonable. This one is the most reasonable geometry wise. So considering poly count and end result, I think is one of the best that we got, right? The problem is, I mean, the poly count is very reasonable. I mean, it's 2,400, which is obviously high, but I mean, compared to what we have, but it's low compared to what probably we should have. So I think it's very reasonable, right? It's very reasonable. It's a reasonable poly count, and we can, I think we can use it, right? I think we can use it. Also on medium hardware, right? And it is using kind of a hybrid technique. So it is using, I mean, it's fairly smart because it's using 2 planes, right? 1 plane at the back, 1 plane at the front, just to simulate, you know, that there is hair. And so it's not done like a full mesh, right? And so when you look at it, I think it's not bad, right? I think this idea is a good idea. Now, this hair is particularly long, and I mean, it probably is even too long, right? But now, the problem we have, as you can see very clearly here, if I zoom in, right? If I zoom in, you see the difference between this resolution and this resolution. Right? There is a lot of difference, and even more between this resolution and this resolution, right? And why there is this difference? There is this difference because the way the artist did it was very, very simple. So he just said, I don't care about the UV distribution, and so you just put the UV in a very small part, right? Very small part of the texture. And now you may say, easy, right? Just increase it. Yes, I can. So I can take this and I can make it as big as this, right? And now finally here, you know, our resolution for this part is good. The problem is that if we do it this way, then we completely lose the transparency at the bottom, right? Because this thing does not have transparency. At least it should not have. I see that he has a bit. I don't know why, but probably has a bit here at the top. Could be. But he has a very little transparency. While I think that what we want, what we want, right, is something like this that is actually transparent, right? So that at the end you see the hair, you know, ending properly. And actually I did a test, right? And the test is this one. Now I think I have to or I rotate the character. Or I rotate the character, or let me switch the music. Or I put it more in the middle, right? And then let me delete this thing. And then I have to change the light, right? Directional light. I think I have to change the angle. Right. So I mean, this one is already using the new texture and a bit of scaling. Yes, exactly. The problem is this, right? So if you do that and you don't do it, I mean, and you use the part that is not transparent or transparent, makes a difference. See, this one is using the non-transparent piece, but then at the bottom you don't have the, well, you have the transparency but you lose the quality, or you have the transparency in the middle, which is very annoying, right? And here you don't have the transparency, but obviously ending like this, right, is pretty bad. I mean, it's pretty bad. I mean, we can probably live with that, right? We can live with that. So I think that the choice we have to make is do we live with an ending that is actually not transparent, and then we have higher resolution because we can tile the texture and is way easier? Or do we want to try a bit of transparency at the end, but if we try a bit of transparency at the end, or we create a new strip that is starting like from the middle, right? But then you will see an horizontal line, right? So that is what I'm trying to figure out. So if I should just give up, because yes, here the transparency we have, right? So here there is a bit of transparency, and I think it looks fine. Now it's not a full transparency, is a masked one. So again, 0 or 1. So if you go very close, right, it is a bit annoying. But if you stay at a reasonable distance, I think it's fine, right? I think it's fine. And like here on the neck, right? Like here on the neck, I think it's fine. So I was trying to find a kind of an hybrid model, right? But the hybrid model is very hard, right? The hybrid model is very hard. Now, this is the worst case, right? Why is the worst case? It's the worst case because we have very long hair, right? Very long hair. So the strip, whatever you want to call it, right, starts here, right, and ends down there. So it is nearly a meter, I guess. It's 1 meter of hair, right? And obviously if you put this 1 meter of hair in a 2K texture vertically, when you go close, right, it will not be too good. But we can try, right? So we can. So I think the idea for tonight is to do some tests and understand where and how we want to do it, right? But this was the original, right? This was the original. It was delivered by the artist. I mean, look at this shit, right? Look at this shit. Look at how, I mean, I don't even know how you can provide. I mean, apart from this stain on the texture, because basically what he did, he decided to remove the transparency, just adding a background color, right? But plus, I mean, look at how we use the texture, right? Look at how we use the texture. So, sorry, this is already my modified, I guess. Yeah, because he didn't do it this way. Well, no, yes, he did it this way because it's a full, yes. Look how he decided to do it, right? So he basically, in this case, is one strip that is like 2 meters long, right? And he did it all in one chunk in this texture. So obviously the resolution is shit. Obviously the resolution is shit. Hello, Marcelo. So I mean, you cannot have this resolution here and this resolution here, right? So it's impossible. So I don't know how they can. And this guy was like a senior 3D artist, right? On Upwork. I mean, senior my balls. Really. Senior what? But anyway, that is my upgraded model. So what I did, now the geometry was good, by the way. The geometry was good, I think. So that is my upgraded test. So I said, let's take the texture, right? And let's do, it's a bit of a weird idea, right? But it's what I'm trying to test now, right? The weird idea is I have my texture that is basically divided in two pieces, right? This one is fully tileable, right? And so you can make it as long as you want, right? This one is fully vertically tileable. This one is not vertically tileable because here it has transparency, right? And so my idea was to, like, when you have a strip that is very long and you want to, so you do the UV here. When you have a strip that is like at the end, you do it here, right? The problem of this technique, I mean, I think it's a kind of a weird idea, but I think it's not completely wrong, right? The problem of this idea is that you cannot tile well here, right? And this is what I was testing. I was trying to do exactly right now before starting the stream. So here, right, for example, I did one of those things. So here I have a piece that, as you can see, is using this part of the texture, which is the bottom. And so here you will have the transparency, right? And then, does the texture have to be square? No, it can be anything. Texture can be anything. You can also have a texture that is like 2K by, I mean, 2000 by 255, 56 if you want. So it doesn't have to be square, right? So yeah, in theory we could have a longer texture, but this is already 2K, right? This is already 2K, so I cannot have an 8K texture. I mean, in theory I can, but I mean, in theory we can, right? To have a very long, I mean, we can have a 4K. We have some 4K textures, by the way, in the game, right? So we could have a 4K by 1K, right? And so it can be as long as you want, and you have the transparency at the bottom. That could be an idea. I mean, it's a bit of a waste because in reality it will be a duplicate. It will be a full duplication, right? But I don't know. That's an idea, Marcelo. That's also a possibility. So instead of basically, yeah, it's not a bad idea actually. So what you are saying, instead of splitting it this way, right? We just have this part at the top there. And so we have our endless stripe. So instead of being like, now this texture, I don't know what is it, it's like 2K by 2K. We could have a 4K by 1K, which in theory is the same amount of memory, right? The only thing that I liked about this idea is that this is infinitely tileable, right? So you can go forever, right? You can go as much as you want. The transparency could be a mask. Yes, but you still have to apply it. You still have to apply it as a UV, no? These are both very good ideas anyway, Marcelo. Thank you for that. So you are saying if instead of apply, yeah, I can, so that my texture can, yeah, in theory I can do it. Yeah, I can do it. I can do it in the problem will be where to position the mask. No, but the problem is the same, right? Because No, the mask I don't think is a good idea because in theory is good, but in practice is the same. So I have to position the mask, right, along this air. So I can do it in the Unreal Engine material if I want, right? So I can have a material, inside the material I can say take this full texture, right? Take this full texture, and on top of it, apply an alpha mask. So the alpha can come from another texture, right? That's fine, right? But still, I then need to position it here. And how do I position it? I think I position it at the end exactly like if it was masked from the beginning, right? Because so it doesn't solve anything. I think the mask doesn't solve anything. But I mean the long texture, right? The long texture. So like 4K by 1K. I think it's probably a better idea. The problem is mostly for this type of air, right? Because they are so long. So I could try that. I think that will save me some trouble. I think that will actually save me some trouble. Yeah. I can try I don't know if I want to do a 4K, but yeah. I mean, the problem is also having the texture that actually makes sense, right? I mean, a texture that is not that makes sense at the end, most of it. One problem I have is that I don't think I have any more the original shaded texture. I have to search in my files. Because I remember there was, right, one texture. But I got it from a package, and I totally forgot where the hell is this pack, where the hell we have it. But I think I had. It's definitely not here. I don't know why I didn't keep the original. Ah, maybe I remember where is it. Wait. I think I remember where is it. Wait. I remember where is it. Because it's in the... Yeah, I think I remember. Because we did it when we were testing in the other project. The advanced... the advanced character customization. I think it was there, huh? Yes, is here. So actually we have one texture that is the original one, which is this. Yeah, you see, these people did something very similar, right? So these people basically took the same. The problem is that it's just duplicated forever, right? You see that it's the same texture. I mean, if you look at this and this is identical, right? So it's the same texture, just duplicated million times, right? This is the same, and it's beautiful texture, by the way. I really like it, right? It's beautiful texture. And then they applied the alpha on top, right? To create these hair strands and everything, right? Yeah. And so yes, they basically applied on top. This, by the way, is a full 4K texture. It's 4K by 4K. So it's like this texture alone is like 15 megabytes in PNG, right? So expanded is probably like 80 megabytes one texture, right? But anyway, try creating a second UV just for the tips. Then you use your repeatable and have the second UV for the mask. You know, I cannot have a second UV. What do you mean a second UV? I mean, if I create a second UV, right, and then I overlap them, to me it's exactly the same as creating one texture, no? I don't understand what you're saying, I guess. So if I have like the texture like this, right, assume that this is tileable. At the moment it's not tileable, right? At the moment it's not, but assume that this is tileable. So we make it tileable here and whatever. And then I have another mask, right, with different UV. How do then I apply it? Because the object is one UV, right? The object doesn't have two UV. So you can apply it mathematically, like you can say move it down X amount of pixel, right? Or you can say, but you cannot apply it with a different UV. You can have two texture, but on the same UV. I mean, you can manipulate the UV space, right? You can multiply it, offset it, you can do whatever you want. But that's in the material function, and it's done once, right? It's not done per strand, right? Per strip, because here we will have to do it per strip. Maybe this strip has transparency here, this one is transparency on the side, this one is transparency in the middle, right? So I think I don't understand what you're saying, or I think it's not applicable. I mean, the other solution is to give up the transparency and just have a full, right? Like this one is a bit, right? Having a full, but it's a bit of a pity because I think in certain places, right? Like for example here, I think it's nice that is partially transparent, right? I think it looks more real than just having a full. The problem is that this texture is just a giant repetition, as you can see, right? This is just a repetition. It doesn't have anything new anywhere, right? Because this is identical to this. So basically the real texture is probably this, right? This is the original texture. In Blender you can name the UV and create multi-channel, and be sure you can select the UV channel in Unreal. Yeah, but Marcelo, I still don't understand what problem is solving. So let's say that we can do it, okay? Let's say that we can do it. So that I can have 2 UV in Blender, and then I have 2 UV in Unreal. So what's the benefit, considering I need to have a mask for all my transparency, and I have to basically put the UV everywhere. So what is the I guess I don't understand what you're suggesting. So let's say my UV, okay, the UV, so let's take one strand only, right? So this is one strand, right? And my UV is this, and this is on the full texture, right? The one with a full with no transparency, right? Let's imagine that this is the one with no transparency. Then why I cannot move this thing? Jesus Christ. Okay, only with Z. Then you are saying, oh, go here, create a new UV, like I do for the light maps, right? I do it for the light. I always use the second UV for the light maps, right? So we create a mask UV, right? And maybe we can manipulate in Unreal. Okay, fine. But then in the mask UV, what do I do? What do I do in the mask UV? I take what? I take the bottom and I move it in the transparent area of the other text of the mask. I don't understand. What is the benefit? I mean, I can just have my texture. The alpha mask would be just black for the main strip, all scaled small, and the detail would be concentrated for the tip. The alpha mask would be just black for the main strip, all scale small, and the detail would be concentrated for the tip. So you mean like in this area at the bottom, right? You're saying this area at the bottom. So in the second UV, like now I have the second UV, right? This is the first UV, this is the second UV. So in the second UV, you say just the bottom, right? Just the bottom stays here. Okay, and the rest basically we don't care. Consider that the rest still needs to have a UV also in this part, no? Or you are saying we split it and we in the second UV we split it and we put it right like randomly here, so that this is only the mask for the tip. I don't know. I'm still not understanding then how this will work, right? Because I'm still not understanding what this will do. Because I'm pretty sure in Unreal I can then say, yes, I think it's possible to say take the second UV and do something with it. I think it's pretty possible. But then what I will tell him to do, I will tell him, oh, take the second UV and mask the first one based on this. So it will apply the alpha with a separate mask only for the tip. But then it needs to be another texture, my friend, I think. I mean, it can be a texture mask, right? So I think we should have, in that case, you know, if we have a separate texture, right, which is only this piece, for example. Let's say that we have a separate texture is only this, right? Just a dark 10% with most of length. I don't know if you can make an example, maybe I will understand, but like this I'm not understanding. I can create another texture, right, which is my mask. So let's say that this one is my mask, right, and I make it grayscale, whatever. So I mean, we will have obviously to modify it so that I will have obviously to modify. Yeah, when you transform to grayscale, GIMP is always going crazy. It does it all the time. You should never click on grayscale. But anyway, it will take a bit, and then it will be back. At the moment, it's just stuck. But let's say that this is my mask. Okay, this is my mask. So for the tip, okay. But how do I say that I want the tip to be? I think I understand. I will have to do it though. Okay, I think I understand what you mean. So if so now my second texture will be like this, will be rotated like this probably, right? And just at the top, and this will be also, right? And this will be also, let me split this. This will be also rotated and there, because this will be all black, right? So this will be no transparency. And then from this point on, we will have some transparency, right? Is what you're saying. And then, so that this is in the second UV, right? Because my first UV is this. My second UV is this. So in the second UV, I say, this is the mask, so this is fully applied, and this is applied with some alpha, right? But this means that I have to take every tip. I mean, assuming that it's possible in Unreal, but I think it is, because I think we can access the UV channel. I'm pretty sure we can. I think we can do. I think there is really texture UV or something like that, or UV. There should be UV something. We can search it, but I think it's possible, right? I mean, I need a UV by channel, obviously. I have a light map UV. I don't know why I don't have just a... I think it's called texture coordinate, by the way. Texture coordinate. Yeah, it's texture coordinate actually. Yeah, it's this one. It's this one. It's texture coordinate. This is the UV. This is the UV. And you can say index 0, 1, 2, 3. And I think this is your index. This is your UV map, the additional UV map, right? So I could have this one on index 0 and this one on index 1, right? So I could, so then here I can have my mask, right? And my mask, I mean, just as an example, obviously it's not the right one, but we have masks, right? We have already a black and white mask. Now it will be a bit, yeah, it will be something like this, right? So I will basically say, hey, this is my UV for this thing, and this is my UV for this thing, and then I don't know exactly how we'll have to merge them, but I think that this will be an alpha multiplier. So this will be the yeah, this will just go to the alpha. I think the R will just go to the opacity, right? This will just go to the opacity, and this one will just go to the color. So you see that now, yes, you see, I mean, you can see it here already, right? You see that now my texture is actually cut off based on this, right? So wherever is black is transparent. Now we can invert it in theory, right? We can do the inverse of that. We can do 1 minus, I don't know. We can do 1 minus this maybe to have the opposite. Probably. Yes. Yeah, so now the white is the transparency, right? So what you are saying is take the second channel. Take the second channel, map it to your alpha thingy, and so you can have only one texture which is full, and then you need your mask. Instead of rotate, just cut, place pivot, stand, select, and scale down. Yeah, I can also do that. Yeah, I can also keep it as it was, but you know, but there must be a moment where it starts to be. Yeah, but I understand what you mean. We could do it. I don't know if it really works, but anyway, yeah, you could try to scale it by 3D, you know, by pivot and do something like that, right? So that it becomes. Now this may become too long, so it needs to be tested a bit, but so you have your mask. So what is the difference than having a long texture with the mask already applied? So what is the difference between this method, right, and let's say this method, where this method is not this method, but this method is, oh fuck. I don't understand why. If I remove the alpha, I see the underline texture. You see? If I remove the alpha, I see the underline texture, but if I remove the alpha, we don't. You see? It's destroying the... Okay, did it here. Okay, so so now I can ask the question, right? So I was saying, what is the difference between that and what is the difference between that and with 1000, 8 2000, 8 4000, 8 4000, right? Now, at the moment, it's not very correct, right? But let's say, just to explain the idea, right? So what is the difference between doing what you said and just doing this? Right? So basically having a longer texture that then becomes... So probably the difference is that I can apply it only to a tip wherever I want, right? The texture can be 2K, the mask can be less, as it will be used for less percentage and just grayscale. Yeah, the mask can be fairly small. I mean, the mask can be smaller. I mean, the mask is basically this shit, right? Just as an example now, it will not be perfect, but it's just to test the idea and then... Obviously it's not the right directory. Okay, we have this air mask, which is, I guess, not really the best, but just a test, right? No, it's not. Why? I don't know, I think the grayscale probably doesn't work. But now we need a model, right? Now we need a model. Obviously, this is kind of wrong, I know, but now we need a model that has the second UV, right? The second UV piece. So let's do no, but if I did it the way I did it, right? If I did it the way I did it, then this is not correct, right? Because this part is still transparent somehow. I don't know why it is though, because in theory it's not. Don't understand exactly why the top is still trans. I think it took the alpha all fucked up, by the way. I think I have a problem how the alpha texture can be 2K, the mask can be less as it will be used less percent. Sorry, I'm so boss and trying to help. Texture can be 4K by 1K or less, and the mask 1K by... Yeah, the mask I think can be small, yes. Like 1K by 1K. Yeah. Yeah, we need to have an area here. Now, my only problem now is how do I transform this into a reasonable... I think I have to copy the alpha, actually. I think I can do this, right? But instead of... can I copy only the alpha channel? Which, by the way, is pretty bad, but it's kind of fucked up here. But can I copy only the alpha? How do I copy only the alpha channel? Because I copied it, but it didn't work. Huh? So basically I want the alpha channel to become my... Should I fill it? No. Yeah, I can swap it anyway, Marcelo. I can swap it. I can do 1 minus and I can swap black and white is the same. Black and white is the same. I can just swap it like I shown you, right? So I can just 1 minus and black become white, 1 become black. The problem is how can I bring this where the top where the top will probably be filled completely, right? So this will be completely black, right? Or white, but it's the same. But how do I save this as a black and white where the bottom is all white? Well, I can actually add maybe a new channel and I can fill the bottom completely. Why is my... Why is not filling the bottom white? Huh? What is going on? Seems I cannot paint anymore on this texture for whatever reason. Because they are all disabled or what? Ah yes, they were all disabled. Okay, so no, this is not really the best, right? Because I mean, it will be a bit rough. Here in the connection will be a bit rough, right? Because here in the connection will be very rough. Also, I don't understand why, if I told him to paint this completely black, why he didn't do it. Okay. But anyway, from a certain point down, this thing becomes black, becomes white, right? So that's the whole idea. I don't know exactly what is going on here, though. Cannot select by color anymore. There is something going on with this that is not really working as expected. Like I cannot fill these areas. Well, I can, but they fuck up completely. I don't understand what is going on. I have a threshold of 1.4 right there, so maybe the alpha is so strong that I think the problem will be creating a texture that is actually meaningful, but let's assume that we so if I okay, I think I removed the alpha channel. Okay, let's try to save it like this. Let's try to save it like this for a second, okay? And let's try to take this strip, right? And this strip, we have the bottom. Maybe from here, I don't know. But I don't know, it feels to be too much work, Marcelo. I mean, I understand, but I have to basically remap every single tip, right? every single end tip to the proper thing, I mean, I think it's a massive work. Right? I think it's gonna take more than but, and it is for every hairstyle, right? So I don't know. It's a good idea anyway. I like it. It's a good idea. I mean, I like that you gave an idea, right? So it's nice. Okay, so this is UV1 and this is UV2, right? UV1, UV2. So if we now export this mesh and we go mask test, and we go air model mask test, right? Which is just with that single strip. Right? And we apply this full color matte. We call it mask. Okay. And we use this. I don't know why the top is so fucked. Do you think because they have different resolution? Because it seems that he's messing up. I mean, I can make that one also 2K, but it seems that he's messing up. So he's basically applying it to the wall thing, right? But anyway, let's see. Maybe because it doesn't have, maybe because here it doesn't have a coordinate index 1. Could be. Could be. So I mean, I see a bit of transparency here, right? So in theory it did it because we see the transparency only in this piece, right? And we don't see the transparency anywhere else. Right? So my main material could be completely without opacity, right? Which I don't know if this one is. No, this one unfortunately has opacity. I need one that is like 100% without, right? So I need this guy basically. This is what is funny about this texture, that actually it doesn't have, but yes. It doesn't have, but yes. So I don't understand why. So whatever I do, I cannot get this. It's so weird. Well, I can paint the alpha all black. Ah, yes, this is probably what I should do, right? So if I paint the alpha all black, now my... Ah, okay. Okay, that's the way to do it, I guess. So if I take this, right, which is actually the only real piece, right, because the rest is all a duplication, and I export it as dark shade, no transparency, no transp, and then no transfer. The problem is there is another directory. Okay, I found it. So this one is not is completely no transparency, right? So in our material, I will substitute. Yeah, because then it goes also by color, but it's fine. Okay, so now this one is full. So we are sure that yeah, it's the opposite. The mask is applied the opposite way. So we have to do 1 minus. Okay. Yeah, so here is applied properly, right? Here is applied properly. It is applied properly, but you know, the complexity, I think, is the scale. But yeah, the technique kind of works. Now, unfortunately, this is not tileable at the moment, so we will have to make it tileable. But yes, at that point, the solution is that I can tile it as much as I want on the main texture, because the other one anyway is... I don't understand why we have this white line there. I don't understand why we have this white line. I think it's actually the piece where we start to have the other map, no? That's a bit weird because there is no white line in this thing, right? Ah, yes, there is a white line. So now the problem will be to make this compatible, right? And that is definitely not very easy. To try somehow to make it fluid and good, right? That I think will take me forever. So it's not really an easy job, unfortunately. Because even if I use all the tricks, these are super small strands, right? So it will be very visible, right? Whatever we do, I guess. We will have to go like very, very thin, and then I don't even know how. I think it's very hard to recreate. I mean, it's very hard to recreate a tileable hair. I think it's hard. And it's possible, but not super easy. Anyway, let's say that it is more tileable than the previous one, right? So okay, that is kind of, I mean, it's not exactly tileable, but let's say with the time that we have, I would say it is tileable vertically. It's a bit messy here. I mean, it is messy. I don't know what to do. I mean, it is a bit messy there. Yeah, it is. Maybe I can clone with some opacity. Nah, it never work. This thing is a pain to do properly. This thing is really a pain because the problem is the transition of colors, right? So anyway. Anyway, apart from that, we can find a way, right? We can find a way to make it better. So now it is tileable. Now it is, at least is more tileable than before. Yes, and so now this part, right, this part looks better. And now you can say, oh, now that you have the fully tileable, right? Now that you have the fully tileable, go crazy with your resolution as much as you want, right? So go crazy. So scale this, you know, 4 times, right? Scale this 4 times. Okay. Obviously in the UV, yes, in that UV, yes. Scale it 4 times. Okay, scaled it 4 times. Yeah, apart from the problem, right? Apart from the problem. Now we have a much higher resolution, right? Now we have a much higher resolution. So basically this was your wall point, right? This was your wall point. I don't know why we have this though. Why we have that shit? Which by the way is starting only from here down. No, sorry. It's not the right model. Ah, because I didn't map all of it. Fuck. I did not map all of it. There was a piece missing. There was a missing piece, which was this one. Okay, I think I understand the possibility. I think I understand the possibility, but is this good? Is this good? Is this good? Yeah, now is okay. So yeah, there is a way to basically have a transparency only at the bottom. I think it's an interesting idea, Marcelo. I think it's an interesting idea. It's an interesting idea, but the problem is the work required, right? Because the problem is a bit the work required, because in the previous case, right, I can just apply to one strip my my thing vertically, and the bottom is already transparent. In this way, I have for each strand, and consider that we have dozens, right? So I don't know, we have like 20, 30 strands, right? For each strand, I have to go create the separate mask, right? And do the separate UV with the mask UV, and yeah. I don't know. You don't agree with what? With Whitney? What? I think it's too much work. My problem is that it may be too much work to do this. I mean, it kind of works though. It kind of works. I'm not saying it doesn't work, because actually it works. Now, the result is not the best, but probably also because our mask is not the best, right? I think our mask sucks a bit, right? So, I mean, I created it a bit badly, right? And I think it's a very weird mask, by the way. It's mostly... I mean, basically we need to have full white, right? While we don't have full white here. So I think that this is probably not even working as expected, because this is not full white, right? So we need full white, and so I think at the moment it works only for these pieces. I don't understand why the is very different from what we see though, right? It's very different from what we see on the text. So I was expecting way more black. Maybe. No? I was expecting something like this, right? So more... but it's not. I mean, no, sorry, not more black. I was expecting more white, transparent. I was expecting more white, but it's not. Why is not? Because maybe it's not. Maybe because the white is not strong enough. I don't know. Or the formula doesn't really work. I don't know. I'm just doing like this just to test. Okay, so it's not. It's not that I want to do it this way, but it's just because I would like to see more white, right, in this mask. So if I have that much white... Ah, okay, now yes. Yeah, now yes. So in theory, if we... Okay, so now... So yeah, so if we have the proper... Right, so if we have the proper... is it applying it properly or not? I think it is. I think it is. But it's taking mostly the ones that I just created, right? It seems that everything else is not wide enough. I think there is a threshold. I think there is a threshold because everything that is gray becomes... Everything that is not perfectly white, right? Like here, becomes non-white, right? That is what I see. So like I would like to have the bottom pretty much fully transparent, right? And maybe just have the middle somehow not, right? But it seems it's not working this way. It seems that for whatever reason, well, also because I have a stupid brush. Actually, now that you ask me, I mean, I really have a stupid brush. I mean, it's a brush that is doing a bit of pattern, right? Like instead of that, right? Because that becomes too, right? So maybe the brush is not really the best brush, I think, but. But I think the point is, can we have real strands, right? Or not? Or is the scale fucking up? I have a feeling that the scale is a bit fucking up. This is my... I have the feeling that the scale is fucking us up a bit. I don't know why. Let me see like this, that I basically repainted it all. Basically repainted it all. Identical. I mean, it's always a bit messy though. I don't know. With the shiny, you don't agree with the shiny in the texture, yeah. Well, but I think it gives a lot of, I mean, I think it's good though, because it gives volume. Now, unfortunately here by tiling, right? Tiling so much. I mean, I multiply by 4, so I think it's too much, right? But no, I understand. I think is a possibility, but do I like it? Meh. I mean, I think that the other problem is that this should not be mapped. So if I go in this view, right, I think that this should not be mapped like that. This should be mapped horizontal, I guess, right? Because we want the... Yeah, it becomes better. Like now it becomes better. Like now it looks, at least the end looks better, right? Looks more natural somehow. Now here is a bit shit, but the end looks a bit more of what we wanted to have, right? So because from distance you will see it like this, and you see, so the difference is between this, right? Between this and this. And you see that there is a notable difference, because this one really looks like a full mesh, right? And this one looks like a more hair, right? Hello, Devro. Yes, I mean, I'm trying to understand. I mean, I have a big issue with this, with how to do air models, air for our characters. I have a big problem. I tried a million possibilities, as you can see from this view. I tried a million possibilities, but I still don't get a result that is sustainable from the point of view of making, you know, 40 different or 60 different hairstyles, because we have, I mean, even if we do only 4 for each character, there is male and female, right? So and there are 9 characters. Well, not all characters have the hair, but anyway, it's like 30 something hairstyles, right? So, and now Marcellum had a good idea, which is an interesting idea, but But I think it's a bit annoying to make, right? It's a bit annoying to do. It's a bit annoying to do. Because the other way, I mean, the other way that I'm thinking is the opposite, right? So is to have the 4K texture vertical. I mean, or even 2K. The problem. By the way, this and this is not actually identical. Now that I look at it, right? This, why I cannot paint sometimes? Please, let me paint, please. Doesn't want me to paint. Why doesn't want me to paint? Because we have everything disabled, okay. This is not identical to this. Right? Well, it's probably identical to this, but not really. This one is brighter, this one is a bit less bright. These two pieces are different than these two pieces. So actually, between here and here, there is a difference. So maybe the base is larger than I was thinking. So what exactly do you want to achieve here? I want to have a standard way to do all our hair styles, right? So our hair at the moment look very bad. So our hair at the moment are just brutal meshes like this, like this. Apart from the color, okay, because the color gets, this thing gets colored, right? But they are basically full meshes, right? They are full meshes. And they have no transparency, apart from, you know, this one maybe is an exception. There is a bit of transparency, right? But they have no transparency. And if I take... and if I take this, right? So this is the other one, you see? I think it's much more visible here, right? So you see that there is a full mesh, so it's ending abruptly, right? So it's ending like this. It doesn't have any strands, any strips, anything. The connection with the head also is not very good, unfortunately. So it is a very old mesh, but anyway, this is the way we have it, right? Now the other one that I showed you before is a bit better, right? But I want to redo all the air meshes, right? And so I did a number of commissions to people that make me just mad instead of making me happy. And they produced every possible version. Now, the good thing is that now I know more, right? Because I basically created every possible version of hair. From this one, right? I think this one at the end is not too bad, by the way. I think this one at the end is not too bad. From this one to this one, right? This one is decimated because the original was like 20,000 polygons. But the decimated, you see, is very spiky. You cannot really manipulate it. This is our current one. These are the ones that are too high poly. So this one is what? 20,000 polygons, right? I mean, this one is fantastic in theory, right? This one in theory is fantastic, but in practice, I don't think I want to have a 20,000 polygon air mesh, right? This one was another test. It's still very high poly, but the problem was the connection with the head, the overall transparency, and is anyway. This one is what? Is another 18,000? Yeah, pretty much. It's 20,000. This one as well. Now this one was another test just with a mesh that I decimated because the original was higher. And I think the original is below this. No, it's not. I don't have the original anymore. I don't know. It's somewhere in some other files. But anyway, this was kind of a decent compromise, right? But again, this is a full mesh, right? This is a full mesh. So it means that it looks like a block. I don't know how to say. It looks like a full mesh, right? So the ending is like this, right? So the compromise, right? The compromise between a full mesh like this and a crazy air card. This technique is called air card, right? Where you have the strips, right? This is called air card. So the middle ground between these two, I think, is this one, right? This one is using, I think, some smart technique of, for example, the bun at the top is a full mesh, right? There is a full mesh with no transparency, pretty much. And I think it's a good idea. Why not, right? While other parts like this one, as you can see, they are using transparency, right? So I think that this is probably the best compromise. Now, if you look here, right, it is a bit cheat. I mean, this thing is cheating a bit, right? So is having some panels of air. So there are some strips, but this, I mean, you're basically never supposed to look at it from this view, right? And you have a great tutorial on air cards if you want to have a look. I mean, what do you mean? Tutorial to make them? Or I mean, my problem is not to, I mean, again, my problem is not to make something like this, right? If tutorial is telling you how to do this, okay, fine. But the problem is that it cannot be 20k polygons, right? It cannot be 20k. So we need to find the right, and even this one, which I think is the other one, which I think is a good compromise, right? This one, I think it still has too many panels. This one is decimated already. So this one is 3.3k. The problem of this one is that when you have the air strips overlapping, you know, you get these lines. You see these lines? These lines, see, because one strip is overlapping the other strip, right? And but then one thing is how it looks here, and one thing is how it looks in Unreal, because in Unreal it actually looks different. But anyway, in Unreal they look different. But yeah, I'm just doing some tests, you know, and understanding what we can have, right? What we can have, pretty much, and what is the best way to have a good compromise between. Yeah, this one now is completely fucked up because we changed the texture, right? Also, this thing is. So I think my ultimate resolution is. My ultimate resolution is we create a texture that is 4K by 2K, no, 4K by 1K, where the bottom is transparent. And then this means that we'll never tile it, right? We will never tile it, but fine. We will never tile it. The problem is to create it, right? Because I mean, I can start from this one, right? This one I think is not a bad one. But again, we will not do the tiling. Where do you think is the repetition starting? I think that this line equals to this line, right? So the repetition, I think, starts from where? From here. I mean, it's perfectly horizontally tileable, by the way. I think they did it in a way that it doesn't... is seamlessly tileable, right? Maybe here is the line. Maybe here is the line. Yeah, here is the line. Here is the line. But that line, for example, does not exist here. I think this thing got manipulated a few times, and I think that we can take the part where there is less shiny, because I kind of agree that the shiny is not really the best. The problem is, how do I do? Because like 124 is like this. So pretty much the maximum resolution that we have is 124 at the moment, or no? No, because I think up to here. No, up to here. I mean, we can also make it not. So it is pretty much the maximum resolution we have. And it will not be tileable vertically or horizontally. I looked at the air for like 5 minutes and I can't tell anymore. I can't tell anymore what? Don't be a grumpy tyrant, I send it to you. Which would... Wait. I didn't follow the discussion. Which word is Automod not liking? No, any URL you cannot send. Yes, send it to me. Okay, let me see. Yeah, but you know, the game ready, I mean... game ready. Sorry, there are multiple stories on game ready. So pretty much everything you find on the Unreal Marketplace is game ready, right? And basically none of it is game ready. But anyway.
Although I've done many videos about creating.
Let me see the. Let me see, John. I just want to see the result. In poly count. Doesn't show the poly count. Doesn't show the poly count anywhere, but yeah, it's basically using the same technique we use, right? So it's yeah, I mean, we have the same textures, right? This one, so we have exactly the same, right? So that is exactly what we are using, right? So the problem is not to know how to do it, but is to do it, right? Is to actually do it and to have it in a way that is actually a good end result. Now, the poly count that is here is super high, but obviously you can reduce it, right? And this guy is anyway creating each strand by manually, right? Which is fine. I mean, it is basically the same that we do already. I started actually from this texture, which was pretty good, with a different, you see? 'Cause, I mean, we have the same textures, right? This one, so we have exactly the same, right? So it's yeah, I mean, it is basically the same that we do already. I started actually from this texture, which was pretty good, with a different, with a different, you see? 'Cause, I mean, we have the same textures, right? This one, so we have exactly the same, right? So you see? It's exactly this is exactly the one that I'm using, right? The texture that I'm using. The problem is that if you go too many of these ones or too many of these ones, it becomes empty, right? So I think the top needs to be mapped on the more heavy ones, right? And the small ones, you just have to have a few that are not really having a lot of alpha, right? And this is the same thing that I realized. And I think this one is a decent result. I mean, if you look at it from the bottom, obviously it's not. And consider that this will be double-sided, right? So if you look at it from the bottom, double-sided, I think we'll still be okay. And anyway, no one is going to look at it from the bottom. So I'm just trying to understand what is the texture we need to standardize on. And yeah, in the store, I mean, in the store you have to be lucky, but usually what I do, I take the stuff from the store and then I modify it heavily because it's always and the other problem is that if you want to have something standardized in your game, you cannot use materials, you know that. I mean, one asset is using one material with 20 shaders, another one is using another with other 20 completely different shades. So if you start to put stuff in your game from the marketplace without really normalizing it, is a mess. I mean, it's really a mess. It becomes really a mess. Okay, so what I was doing, yes, I was doing this. So I think if we can, right, start from this. No, not from this. Start from the cut, yeah, the cut that I was trying to make, right? So if we start from this cut, for example, right? And you see that they already had the same issue here. They couldn't really normalize it. But let's say that we start from this, right? Which I think is a good quality. And this one I would say we make it at least, yeah, if not double. Yeah, the problem is that this needs to become pretty much double that. But now the question is, how the hell do we fill in that without too many repetitions, right? We don't have anything else we can copy because this is just a copy of this, right? Everything is copied. It's a pity that this didn't go down, but it didn't. It didn't. So our only chance is basically to copy this over and over and over, maybe without the strand, and then do some manual manipulations so that it becomes slightly different, right? I guess it's our only chance. And the point is that at the bottom, please, you center it? No, I cannot. Why? Because it's smaller. It cannot be smaller. I copied it from above. Anyway, can fix that. So do you think we can make this look like it's a single piece or no? Without going too crazy? I think it's very easy to do damages, very easy. Come on, why is copying the... What were you saying, Marcellum, about render some Blender Air? Can you render some? I can also ask the AI, by the way. I can ask the AI, hey, can you take this picture and just fix it for me? I think it will do it. The problem will be the resolution. But we can try. As soon as I finish this, I think we can try to just give it to the AI and say, hey, can you fix it for me? Or let me do it immediately and see what it does, actually. I have this hair texture that I like a lot, but it has been copied over vertically, and there are bad horizontal lines. Can you fix it? I think he can. I think he can. I think he can. Hello, one man. What can you do is to cut one square in half of the entire horizon, they copy it and flip it so it merges well with the continuing pattern. Yeah, good idea, actually. If I rotate it and flip, yeah, it will become like a wave, but yes. It will become like a whoop. He failed. He really failed. He really failed. You failed. Maybe I should give it to him without the... yeah, maybe I should just do this. Wait. That is too hard for him. I think it's too hard. I think the easiest is to say, is to do this. Is to say, I have this texture, can you feel the bottom like the top? Or something like that, right? Okay, let me just delete this. He cannot do it. This way he doesn't understand. I have this hair texture. Can you extend it where it is? I think it transparent. He doesn't understand transparent. He never understands transparent. He never understands transparency. I need to make it white. I think white he understands, but transparent he doesn't understand. Yeah. I think like this he may understand it. Can you extend it? Can you paint it? Can you paint the white part keeping a similar but not identical hair pattern like the one above? I think he can do it. You can render air, take a plane, add air, make it upside down and comp it, and you will have to learn how to make procedural texture. For the air strands have different color. Yeah, Marcelo, but if you tell me that you know how to do it, just do it. Send me the texture. Again, telling me, oh, there is a nice tutorial where you can learn it. Okay, thank you. That will take me like number of hours. And then maybe the result will not be good anyway. So if you know how to do it, do it. Ah, this is much better. Now, he exaggerated a bit here. So he like this wave, right? He waved it a bit too much. And we have these horizontal bands. I don't know why. But it's not bad, I think. I think it's not too bad. Where do I have the textures? Here. No. One second, I'm just searching a directory because I have so many directories these days that... Okay, let's put it here. Fuck it. So if we have a dark hair long, right? And then we will just have to delete this nice because obviously it needs to put that just to make your life harder, right? Couldn't stay without that. Okay. There are some horizontal bands that I don't know how they came into being. You see them? I don't know if you see them your side, but there are some horizontal bands here and there. Maybe they were already there, I don't know. They are fairly annoying, I have to say. We can fix it, I think, but... yeah, there is a bit of the problem of this lightness, right? This insane lightness here. That is kind of annoying. But anyway, assuming this, and then taking the transparency of... taking the transparency of the former one. Taking the transparency of the former one. Now the problem is which transparency to take though, because we have all these different transparencies, right? I think we have to take this one, there's no way. I think we have to take this one. Because all the others are too strong. No? I mean, it would be nice to have two, but in the idea that we are doing now, there are no two. There is only one. So this will basically become the alpha of this thing. So this we invert and burn. How do we do it? No, what? Do you think it did it? Yes, it did it. So there is a part of this now. I don't know if we should start from here. Maybe starting from there is too much. Maybe starting from there is too much. Maybe. Do we want to have only the bottom or? I think it may be only the bottom. Duplicate, yes, please. Hey, I mean, the repetition is very annoying. The repetition is super annoying. The repetition is super annoying, but now, right now, if we go here and let's create another material, or let's reuse this material. I don't know. I think we can delete this material. Let's take our air long. Yeah. Exactly. Don't really care about the alpha here because the alpha here is anyway different from the one that we see in Unreal at the end. Now the problem is that this thing is really exaggerated, right? So it's created like in a single piece from here down, and I don't think it makes any sense. I mean, it's a single strand, right? It's a single strand, it's too much. So now, I guess the question will be, I mean, like this, basically we only have to adapt the bottom, right? We only have to adapt the bottom a bit, and we can scale it vertically up to the maximum of the texture, and we can decide how large, and we can decide how white or black or whatever, right? And then we do the same with this guy, and so on, right? But basically at the moment I'm just testing a few things, right? So that I can then tell I can then commission this air saying, okay, this is the example, right? And for the air strands to have different colors. Yeah, for the colors we do the colorize somehow in Unreal. We colorize in Unreal, so that part in theory should be fine. Is this the top or the bottom? There is the top. Okay. Well, this is the bottom is the top. Okay. Okay, so just to test this other technique, right? We have seen the previous technique. The previous technique was with the mask on top. This one is with the I can also export it maybe as a mask test too. So it's a different mesh. We can see the two meshes. Mesh 2. Okay, now the only thing that we obviously need to assign a different material, right? Because this one is using still the other material, right? So this one is using I think we need a full color. Fuck, we modified this to have the mask. I think I did a save as. No? And we called it with mask, yeah, exactly. So I think we can undo this thing. And by default is texture coordinates, so this is our dark long. No? What do you mean no? Yes. Dark long we didn't import yet. Ah, okay. Dark long, there it is. Dark long. I mean, again, this is an example. We can also generate another texture, but when I have decided, you know, okay, this is the way, then we can use it. I can also ask someone to build a texture which is better, right? But until I give them an example, they continue to create stuff that then at the end I don't like. So okay, so this is our air model 1 and this is our air model test 2. They will use full color. Okay, they will use full color. So the difference is, yeah, now here is a lot. Maybe we exaggerated a bit. Hey, depends, obviously now depends on the length, right? Obviously now depends on the length, and the fact that he's starting from a certain point down is a bit annoying, right? For sure. Now the resolution seems to be reasonable. Now it's not great, but it's reasonable. Yeah, the advantage of the mask, is that we can actually apply to the part that we prefer, right? Which was this one. While the problem here is that if we stretch it more or less, and also based on how much did we cut off, like here we cut off like, I don't know, 20% of the texture, and probably it's too much, but still it will start from a certain point and become like this, right? Should we do it only at the end? What do you think, boys? What do you think? So the computer is in the studio next door. I once did a test on the Ubernet and show it in Discord. On the Ubernet? For the transparency? I mean, we can do it lower, but I think still it will look a bit weird that the part is... so unless is a bit spotted, right? I mean, unless he starts and then he stops, I think it will still look weird. So I think we still have a problem here. We still have a problem. But if I cut it less, that I can... I think it will not look very good. Wait. I don't know. I think I'm not finding a good way, boys. I'm not finding a good way. Because now it will be super strong at the bottom and 0 there, so it will still look weird because it will start at a certain point. Now you may say, oh, just delete few pieces. Okay, but...
You broke it, didn't you?
Yeah, I broke it, yes, I broke it. In this case, I broke it. I broke it and I don't have an easy way out. That's the other problem. I don't have an easy way out of this. I don't. So...
Good job on that, by the way. Sarcasm self-test complete.
The problem here is that even if I do this, right? Even if I do this, which I can do, right? And then we reuse this texture everywhere, so it's done only once, right? But I think it will still look weird because it will be, yeah. So what I have to do, probably I have to do something like this, right? So that it becomes transparent slowly, right? So if it becomes fully transparent immediately, I think that is anyway kind of bad. It has to become transparent slowly, right? Like this, with small strands, right? And not fully. But I think it's still... I mean, the other possibility... So, you know, also the tutorial that you shown, right? If you're still here, the tutorial that you shown is on short hair, and short hair is completely different because with short hair, even with 2K texture, you know, your stripe, your hair cards are so small that anyway it looks good. The problem that I'm having now is because I have long hair, and with long hair, it's so much harder to have a decent resolution without tiling. Right? That's the issue. That's the problem. That's the real problem. Let me try 1 second like this. I don't think we will fix it though. I don't think we'll fix it. I don't believe it. I don't believe, unfortunately. I have a bad feeling about this. I have a bad feeling about this. Yeah, you see, I mean, it's a bit better because it's only the end, right? But still... But then every hair will have a separate texture, but you could have just a one colorized and an alpha. Yeah, Marcelo, the color, I have it, okay? The color is already done, so let's not discuss about the color. My problem is not the color. I can already colorize, okay? So I can give you all the colors you want. We just use a freaking shader. It's always done in PlaneShift today, right? So it's done. That is done. I can color it as you wish. My problem is not that. I can show you how I color it. We start from... we do it like this already. You see? Becoming red, right? And then... My problem is not the color. So, you see? Becomes purple with shades of whatever. So that is done already. This I have already. My problem is to apply one texture with decent transparency, with a decent mesh that is not 20,000 polygons, and it still looks okay. That's my problem. My problem is not the color. I mean, or we give up the transparency completely. Or we just make it longer and... because like this is already slightly better, right? But the problem is that it's moving from full to none in 0.2 seconds, right? So that is the problem. The problem is that we are moving from full to none too quickly, right? So, and you may say, it's because you didn't scale it. Okay. So you mean I have to take this piece and somehow scale it down? Because this is what I did already, but it was looking too much. What I did, right? I went here. I applied this that I still have, right? And this was too much, really too much. So you may say, because you didn't scale it down. Okay. So you mean if I scale it down a bit? No, if I scale it down like this, right? How much? Like this? Like this? Okay. And now we do the same thing that we did before. Which is what? I selected the similar color. What did I do? I think I selected transparent. Right? And then I deleted on this guy, right? And I deleted. No. What is going on? Because he's selecting also the... Okay. Okay. And now I delete this. I don't know. I have to go soon. What is that shit? It's not here. No. Why we closed it? We closed it? And I say, no, it's not this. It's not this. It's not this. What is our hair long? Here. Why we closed it? Okay. I mean, obviously this is not, it doesn't have to be designed this way, right? So the problem here is obviously the geometry. The geometry should never be like that. The geometry should always be like this. And now it's already slightly better. Now it's already slightly better. I don't know if I really need this transparency at the end. I don't know. But every hair will have a separate texture. You could have just one colorize. No, the colorize I answered already. No, the colorize we are fine. Yeah, I'm not completely sure why this one is ending the way it's ending, but anyway, I think I finished my time up, boys. That's the unfortunate part. I still have one commission running for the mesh, and so, but I think I mean, if you ask me what I would do, really what I would do, I would just forget about the transparency, right? I think at the end, this is what I'm gonna do. If we cannot find a solution, I will forget about the transparency. Because it's just too complex unless you have a texture that can support it. So I think I will just forget about the transparency. Just forget about that. Re-import this. Do it full, right? Never finish like this, which is awful, right? Never finish like that. Then apply. Yes, I have to go. And then apply. Then apply. Wait, why? Ah, yes. Oh Jesus. Yeah, but anyway, it will work because it's fully tiled, so no one will care about that. It's fully tiled. No, it's not fully tiled. No, it's not. You cannot tile. You can scale. You can, yeah. You can scale horizontally a bit, but you cannot tile vertically. So basically, this will have to go, right? We have to go like this. And fuck these pieces. I don't know, these pieces will have to be split because these are definitely wrong. Right? So we will split at the top. Now the texture is way longer now, right? So in theory it is a bit better. Now I think these are all small pieces, so it doesn't really, I think, make a big difference. So yeah, there is another problem. This is another one that has been done the wrong way. So basically like this, right? And we will have to change some of these endings because some of these endings are really stupid. I mean, it cannot be like, oops. I mean, maximum like that, but overall. Now there are many others, but fine. Okay, so now, right, with this, we export it as I think this is how I will go unless someone is giving me a better idea. I think this is how I will go because otherwise it's too... Why I cannot find dark long? Because it's called dark full color. Yeah. I don't know. After all the tests, my boys, I think that what I will do this. I will do. Wait. Why so far away? After all the tests, I think what I will do this. Copy, paste. I think I will do this. I think I will do this and fuck it. Fuck the transparency. Fuck the transparency. I think it's good enough. I think it's good enough. I think it's good enough. I mean, I tried, but it didn't work. I tried, but it didn't work. I mean, the other option that I'm thinking is to have two textures, right? One just for the strength that you really want to have transparent, and one with a full one. So you basically use the full one on these big areas, right? All the time, and these areas all the time, and then only for the one maybe at the front, like for example this one, right? You use the other strands, the one that are not fully. That maybe is the best middle ground ever. But I think this hairstyle, I mean, I think this hair is not bad. I think it's not bad. I think it looks decent. It's better than the one that we have. Yeah, and you suffer from the fact that here there is no transparency, right? But again, we can do this, right? We can say, okay, you want the transparency only in some few ones. Okay, so this one becomes another material. I mean, having two materials for one mesh is annoying because I will have to colorize both. I mean, I can, but at the moment. Yeah, anyway, we can. So in theory, you can say, oh, you want this guy to be, yeah, apart that this has been designed to be weird, but you want this guy, yeah, this guy, for example, right? You want this guy to be transparent. Okay, we assign it to another material. We now the problem here will be to find the mapping with the proper UV, right? But yeah, multi-material is another idea. Multi-material. 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 Yeah, I think at the moment the problem is that I have this only color because I did some test. I mean, it will obviously have to be the same color, right? But just to give you the sense, right? So here, you know, this guy, and you can do it with this guy, and this guy if you want, this guy if you want. So just the small ones, right? Can have a bit of transparency, so it doesn't look like it's a full mesh. At the back, if it's long hair, I don't know. At the back, if it's long hair, I don't have a solution. At the back, if it's long hair, I don't have a solution. If it's short hair, okay, we can apply the same idea. But if it's long hair, obviously looks a bit fucked up here at the bottom, right? It looks fucked up because it's just cut off. It's just cut off, but I I don't know. I still have one commission running on this, and we will see what they come up with, right? At the moment, what they come up with is this one that I have. I think I have it also in Unreal somewhere here. Yes, which is this one. This one, is this one using transparency or not? This one is using, yes, he's using a bit of transparency, but only at the bottom, right? But if I had to choose between if I had to choose between this and this, right? I mean, considering that here the resolution at the moment is not really top, right? But if I had to choose between this and this, right? What do I choose? Fuck, can I have a no selection? Okay, yeah. I mean, this one has this transparency that is making it look a bit more real. So it looks a bit more like hair, right? And this one looks a bit more like a full mesh, but it's definitely smoother. And if we go back to your tutorial, the problem is, again, this is short hair. Short hair is slightly simpler, but basically what it's doing is using very different strands, right? Like this one, for example, is the medium transparent, and this one is the full non-transparent, right? So he's using the full non-transparent on the head, and he's using the, like this one is very, very, very transparent. It's just one small strand, right? I think it's definitely doable. Depends on how much time you want to spend on it, right? I mean, we have to do like 40 plus. So here he has zero transparency pretty much, right? In this area, you see, he has zero transparency because it's black. You see this black? So here he has 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0 until here where he start to have something, right? And here is putting a bunch of them together so that the transparency gets evened out, right? Pretty much what it's doing. But I think my question, unfortunately, doesn't have the poly. You see, doesn't have the poly count at the end, right? So we don't know what is the end result. We don't know if this is a 3 million polygon thingy. So he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23 roughly. And he has some below, right? Plus all the bun at the back. So I would say he has probably 30, 35 of these guys easily. And I think that one is probably 200 polygons. So it's probably a 6,000, 7,000. This I think is a 6,000, 7,000 polygons thing, roughly. Being short hair, right? Long hair can be double of that. It's converting to mesh at the end or no? Yeah, it's converting to mesh. Let me just see. Obviously, he has cut the part where you see the poly count, but anyway. So it doesn't show the poly count in any place, obviously. Does it show somewhere on the UI? I mean, it's here at the bottom, but he cut it off by purpose, I guess. No, I don't know. I don't think he cut it by purpose. He's just trying to show, you know, the best result for the video, so... But yeah, I think it will be roughly... Yeah, and here is reducing a lot. You see, from here, right? From here to here, is reducing a lot the poly count. Still, I think a resolution of 3 is a lot. Yeah, but you can see it here pretty much. Here there is a bit of wireframe, right? Yeah, I think it's about 7,000, 8,000 polygons for a short one, right? I don't know if I'm ready to have a 7,000 short and like 15,000 long. I don't think I'm ready. Hey Phoenix, can you do like black white color and delete the black one so it'd be transparent? Yeah, we did that before you were here. Yeah, we have it like that as well. We have the transparency as well, but we have this ones, right? That we have this well, we tried every possible technique, I tell you. We tried every possible technique. I tried like 20 different ways. And if you are fine to go high in poly count, is no problem. You can create fantastic hair. Fantastic, right? So like the one that I shown before, right? Like I don't know, this one, right? This one, right? You can create fantastic. I mean, if you are fine in going high poly count, you can do whatever you want. It's super easy. But this thing is 20k. This thing is 20k. So yes, you can have the LOD. So when you go far away, it's less, right? But do we want to go 20k as a base? Like when the wall of our character is 20k? I don't know. Just for the hair. And that's anyway a lot of work, right? Because to create it this detailed, or you take it already done, and there are some, right? On the marketplace, you can take some already done at this resolution. So we need to decide a standard and then stick to the standard. That's the problem. Anyway, thank you for watching. It was a bit of a rant, I would say, but yeah. It is what it was. I tested few things and I wanted to deep dive in this hair, and I will continue anyway, but I think I will pretty much see if the commission end up with a good result. If not, we will just go with a solid mesh, right? With a solid mesh. Yeah. Okay, if you want to click follow on Twitch and subscribe on YouTube, do it. If you want to download our game, it's available on our website and also on Steam. And I will see you tomorrow evening. Bye bye.